Our story today is profoundly disturbing, and I strongly advise against younger audiences listening due to its shocking details. What possesses a serial killer to sleep next to his victim's corpse, then walk among the mourners at their funeral days later, acting completely untouched? This isn't a fictional thriller. It is one of the most chillingly bizarre, true stories in the history of Alexandria. The events unfolded in the Arab Republic of Egypt, specifically in the coastal city of Alexandria, between April and May of 2016. Like anywhere else in the world, there is both good and evil, and our focus today is on a sinister, anomalous serial killer named Rajab Abdel-Qader. Born in the Bahira Governorate, Rajab grew up in a deeply dysfunctional and toxic household, scarred by constant domestic violence, physical abuse, and verbal assaults between his parents. Severely neglected, he was cast out onto the streets, where he acquired a dangerous education. He became proficient with switchblades, began predating on and molesting young boys, and developed a pathological habit of stealing, compulsively thieving even when he had money. As a young man, he unexpectedly took up a legitimate trade, working as a baker. Rajab was sharp, energetic, and highly skilled. He quickly earned the absolute trust of the bakery owner, who went as far as handing over the keys to both the shop and the safe. However, driven by an innate, pathological urge to steal, Rajab betrayed that trust and emptied the safe under the cover of night. The next morning, the owner discovered the theft. Lacking concrete material evidence to involve the police, he simply fired Rajab and warned him never to return. Following his dismissal, Rajab reverted to the only language he truly understood: violence. He transformed into a local thug in Bahira, extorting street vendors and pickpocketing passengers in microbuses. His criminal activities eventually caught up with him. He was arrested and amassed a record of over 20 offenses, ranging from assault and theft to carrying illegal weapons, ultimately landing him in prison. Behind bars, Rajab endured a brutal reality. Multiple sources indicate he was subjected to sexual assault, which left him deeply traumatized and harboring immense psychological malice towards society. In 2016, he completed his sentence and was released at the age of 41. Classified as a dangerous repeat offender with an unsalvageable reputation in Bahira, he decided to relocate to Alexandria to start anew where no one knew his past. In Alexandria, Rajab found employment as a baker once again, rented an apartment, and managed to secure a decent living. However, after finishing his daily shifts, he fell into the habit of spending his nights sitting near a tea vendor in the park at Mahatat Misr Square. Over time, he noticed a peculiar pattern. After the families left the park for the night, groups of men and teenagers would gather, and luxury cars would pull up to pick some of them up in exchange for money. When he questioned the tea vendor, he was told that the park transformed at night into a hub for homosexual prostitution. Rajab walked away, but the reality was that he had harbored these suppressed, deviant inclinations since his childhood on the streets, desires that had only intensified following his traumatic prison experience. Rajab decided to return to the park 2 days later, making sure to avoid the tea vendor's gaze. It was then that his dark urges mutated from taboo desires into a monstrous thirst for blood. His targeted killing spree began as follows. The first victim, Juma, April 11, 2016. Rajab met a man in his 50s named Juma. The two struck up a conversation, and Juma invited Rajab to his apartment in the Al Zawaida neighborhood for an encounter, offering him 500 Egyptian pounds. Rajab agreed, but insisted that Juma enter the building first so they wouldn't be seen together. He already harbored a hidden, lethal intent. After having dinner, Juma entered the bedroom wearing a red women's nightgown and asked Rajab to massage his back with olive oil. Following the sexual encounter, Rajab asked for a towel, claiming he wanted to wash up. The moment Juma handed it over, Rajab wrapped the towel tightly around his hands, coiling it precisely 5 times, and strangled Juma from behind until he stopped breathing. Rajab felt a sickening surge of euphoria as he inhaled the scent of death from the towel, a sensation that triggered memories of his childhood when he used to strangle stray cats on the streets. He slept next to the corpse until the following afternoon, looted the apartment, took the red nightgown, and left in disguise. As he was leaving, the landlady confronted him, assuming he was merely engaging in illicit acts with Juma. Rajab smiled at her and cryptically replied, "Starting today, we're stopping what we've been doing." Rajab monitored the apartment for 10 days, only to discover that Juma's family, terrified of public scandal, quietly buried him, ruling the death as natural. The second victim, Abdul-Qadir, April 21st, 2016. Emboldened, Rajab returned to the park seeking both sex and murder. He targeted 64-year-old Abdul-Qadir and accompanied him to his apartment in the Gait al-Saidi area. Once inside, Rajab asked for a towel to wash his face. Abdul-Qadir unknowingly handed over the murder weapon. Following the encounter, Rajab strangled him with the towel using the exact same 5-coil method, leaving him exposed on the bed to intentionally send a message that a serial killer was on the loose. However, history repeated itself. Abdul-Qadir's family covered up the crime to avoid social disgrace and buried him naturally. In an act of pure psychopathic arrogance, Rajab even attended the victim's funeral and wake. The third victim, Solomon, May 2nd, 2016. Rajab returned to the park and met 60-year-old Solomon. At the apartment, Solomon began venting about his family, complaining that they had abandoned him and labeled him a miser, a trait Rajab noticed from the victim's tattered clothes despite the cleanliness of his home. Rajab engaged with him, then strangled him with the towel, leaving the body exposed. This crime passed, just like the ones before it, entirely unreported by the family. The fourth victim, Jamal, May 21st, 2016. Rajab met an affluent 60-year-old man named Jamal at his luxury apartment. In a shocking twist, Jamal mentioned to Rajab that he actually knew the previous 3 victims and wondered why they had completely vanished ever since they went out with him. Rajab calmly replied, "That means my plan worked. I am the one who made them disappear." Jamal completely misconstrued the statement, assuming Rajab had counseled them into reforming their lives. He began thanking Rajab and lamenting his own inability to repent despite hating his lifestyle. For a brief moment, Rajab felt a flash of empathy and urged him to reform. Jamal replied, "I've lived like this for 35 years. How can I stop now?" Before he could finish his sentence, Rajab blindsided him, wrapping the towel around his neck and strangling him to death without any prior sexual encounter. Rajab later claimed they were both heavily intoxicated. Jamal's family also chose silence over truth. The fifth victim and the downfall, Wahid, May 24, 2016. Rajab met 54-year-old Wahid, an employee at the Faculty of Agriculture. After Wahid failed to show up for work for several days, neighbors noticed a foul odor emanating from his apartment. They broke down the door to find his decomposing body strangled with a towel. The police were immediately notified. Upon reviewing CCTV footage around the building, investigators spotted Rajab entering with the victim and leaving alone hours later. Because Rajab was an established, dangerous repeat offender in the system, identification was swift. Detectives staked out his apartment and arrested him the moment he arrived. Rajab surrendered without resistance, calmly uttering, "I was waiting for you. You're late." Rajab readily confessed to Wahid's murder, but then stunned interrogators by proudly admitting to 4 other homicides, providing names, dates, and exact addresses. When questioned about his motive, he self-righteously claimed he wanted to cleanse society of these individuals. He further alleged that he kept a hit list with 75 slots for intended victims. Initially, he denied engaging in sexual acts with them to project an image of a vigilante hero, but forensic reports on the final victim exposed his lies, forcing him to confess to the full scope of his crimes. The police summoned the families of the previous victims, who finally admitted to finding their loved ones strangled with towels and covering it up out of shame. On May 25, 2017, the court sentenced Rajab Abdel-Qader to death by hanging. The execution was carried out in 2021. Thus ended the life of a man who mistakenly believed he held dominion over the fates of others. But the end proved an absolute truth. Crimes may remain buried for a time, but they never vanish forever. Every victim leaves a trace, and every secret has its moment of reckoning. If you enjoy well-researched true crime documentaries based on real cases from across the Arab world, make sure to subscribe to Arabian Mysteries and turn on notifications. Until the next mystery, stay curious, stay aware, and above all, stay safe.